A little bit early on sharing the results of this poll. There's still about 22 hours left, but there is a leader in the clubhouse, so to speak, or at least a runaway leader at this point in time around what are some of the primary reasons why your internal meetings aren't as effective as you want them to be. You don't make the progress that you need to inside your organization as a result of internal meetings. And the number one selection, by far, 50% of the votes, lack of clarity and alignment. So let's simplify. How do we go through the process of creating clarity and validating alignment? Creating clarity, validating alignment. So I'll start with a simple question. What is the specific thing we're working on? What? And no, I am not going to go all hexagon right now, but for those of you who are fans and have done the whiteboard stuff with me before, you know that that's typically where I'll go. What's the objective? What are we trying to accomplish? What is our goal? What are we looking to do? What are we trying to solve? Like, what is the thing that we're trying to accomplish here? Are we trying to make a decision? Yes or no? Are we trying to achieve an objective? Yes or no? Are we trying to solve a problem? Yes or no? Are we trying to decide maybe it's time to eliminate some of the work that we've been doing or a market that we've been working with, or maybe we want to expand into a new market? So decision-making, problem solving, goal setting and execution, kind of achieving results. And you know I've got a couple of different models for each of those, but first let's define what. All right, now when you go around the room and you get everybody's definitions around what, you put them on the board, get them up on the whiteboard, just get them in there in a list and gather as much information as you can. There are some people who would disagree with this approach. The reason that they'll disagree with the approach is typically in an environment where someone's leading at the front, leading from the front, they get into a situation where some people don't feel comfortable speaking up. Some people just nod in affirmation. It is my job as a facilitator, it's your job as a facilitator, it's your job as a leader to pull that information out of folks. So what? Let's get really clear on the thing so that at a minimum, we've all agree on a definition. So what definition? Then once we have written out the definition, so we define either the problem that we're looking to solve or the goal that we have, we get general agreement. Look, our objective is to determine, do we want to add headcount inside our organization to solve for a capacity challenge inside the business? So we are trying to determine, do we need to add headcount to solve for a capacity challenge inside the business? Okay. Is there anybody in the room who disagrees that that's the thing for us to focus on? Is there anybody in the room who would add anything else? One of my favorite questions is, what did you expect us to put up here that we didn't? What did we miss? Let's gather that information. Once we have the definition, then we can go through the room, we get clarity on that definition, and we can confirm with everybody that that is the specific thing that we're doing. So now we've got we have clarity and we have alignment. We have the ability to start moving forward. And depending on what we're going to move forward on, if we're identifying a goal and figuring out how to accomplish that goal, my recommendation is that we identify 3 strategies and then stack 3 tactics associated with those strategies. We take an approach where we apply the game plan. If we're working on solving a problem, I said I wasn't going to go all hexagon, we go hexagon. What, who, why, remember Mary Poppins, how, when, and our 30, 60, 90, short term, medium term, long term. If we're working on making a decision, then what we want to understand is what's the decision? Why is it important? How might we do it? How are we doing it today? How might we do it differently? So what's our plan? And then what's the cost associated with it? Both cost of no decision, cost of making a change, and cost of eliminating the work that we're associated with. So here's one of the cool things. You can take these models, these different approaches, and use them to facilitate a discussion. Now, I'm sure a number of you have been in meetings or in a room where you pull together a group of people and you don't gain clarity on the definition. You kind of wonder, what did we actually accomplish? What did we move forward? What did we agree to? What did we decide? What did we commit to? What action are we going to take? That'll typically happen inside organizations when you're trying to facilitate from inside the organization. And one of the reasons that that happens is because people don't want to offend the person who's facilitating. Another reason is the person who's facilitating has a preconceived notion or a bias toward what you're looking to accomplish. And another one is that the person who's facilitating, or the vocal people in the room, or even some of the quiet people in the room, have these giant blind spots. They bring so much baggage to the conversation. So they either disengage because they don't think that the change is going to happen, or they engage heavily because they think they want to push forward their agenda. So there's a couple of different things that can happen in there. Sometimes the facilitator doesn't draw information out of people. There's some quiet people. Sometimes there are people who are a little bit too vocal. One of the advantages of working with a third party like me to facilitate these kind of conversations is I come in with a beginner's mind. I know nothing about your business other than some of the things you might share with me. I can ask basic questions like who, what, why, where, when, how. And then when I hear something that I don't completely understand, or even that isn't super clear to me, I can ask a follow-up question. And this is one of the best ways to ensure that you have clarity, which is that follow-up question. Do we agree on the definition or do we not? What did we miss? What would you add to the definition? Once we lay this stuff out, then the next piece is to figure out, given what we've discussed, here are the next steps that we're going to take. Joe is going to do this. Susie is going to do that. Bill's team is going to do that. Lisa's team is going to do this. Kind of work through the process and we identify who will do what, who's going to take ownership. It's not that the problem has to be solved in that room right then and there. It's that we determine what next steps are we going to use to start testing to determine if we are actually making progress to our goal, to our objective, to the thing that needs to change. In every meeting that you have, there should at least be some kind of knowledge transfer, some kind of information should be conveyed. People should at least learn something. People should move to a point where they're thinking differently about something, and people should know what kind of action is going to be taken next. What action is going to be taken next. If none of those things happen in a meeting, I think you're wasting your people's time. There's a quick little whiteboard on how do we create clarity through definitions and validation? How do we confirm alignment through documenting, agreeing to next steps, and who's going to take ownership? Do those things and you will simplify your approach to creating clarity and creating alignment. You will improve the effectiveness inside your organization and you will start to see better outcomes from each of your meetings. Don't try to do too many things. Don't try to do too many things. There's no reason to, and the guy from Parks and Rec, I think it's Kenny, don't half-ass 2 things when you could whole-ass 1. So if you're struggling to get 3 things done, maybe 3 is too much for you. Maybe you should just focus on 1. Some people want to get 3 or 5 things done. Anyhow, let's simplify the approach, do better with your team, help improve problem-solving, decision-making, goal-setting, and execution. If you're looking for a facilitator to help you guide you through this conversation, remove bias, shift perspective, overcome blind spots, you know a guy. Thank you.